So this is Damon from Respiratory Cram, and today we have a special episode. I've invited my wife onto the podcast, and she's a respiratory therapist, I'm a respiratory therapist, and we just thought it'd be kind of cool and maybe interesting, maybe not, maybe we'll just delete this podcast, but just to kind of talk about things in respiratory. And I think a good topic and something some of you guys might like is there's a lot of people that deal with anxiety out there. A lot of respiratory therapists that probably have anxiety as well, whether it's in school or at the hospital. And I feel like my wife here, say hi, baby.
Hi.
She kind of has dealt with that her whole career as a respiratory therapist, successfully dealt with it, or at least managed it. So, are you anxious at work? Were you anxious at school?
Yeah, I've always been anxious. I'm anxious.
You're probably anxious right now, right? Recording this podcast.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, in school, I remember we actually went to school together. That's where we met. So, we had a teacher that used to make us do these speeches every single day. It felt like, and that. For somebody that's, has anxiety, social anxiety or whatever, that is difficult, right? I mean, do you remember like how miserable you probably felt?
Oh yeah, like, I didn't want to even go to class. I'd try to make up excuses not to go to class.
Didn't you tell me once that you actually wished you got in a car accident on the way to school just so you wouldn't have to give the speech?
Yeah, that's crazy, but I'd actually wish I'd get in a car accident so I wouldn't have to show up that day.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was.
Yeah, I mean, so that's pretty serious, right? Like that's a terrible feeling, I guess. But yet somehow you made it through, man. You got through that whole program. You gave all the speeches you had to give, and then you went on to work, right? And then at work, there's different types of anxieties you probably had to deal with, like performance anxieties during say code blues or something like that, right? Like, isn't that kind of a stressful thing, for some people too?
Yeah, it was very stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I bet you could probably tell some stories about that, but I've worked with different therapists that, everybody's different, right? So some of us, it doesn't faze us whatsoever when there's a code, right? That's kind of, for me, I kind of just get it. I don't want to sound morbid, but I get kind of happy and excited when there's a code. Not because there's somebody suffering, obviously, but to me, it's just kind of interesting and fun to be able to apply my, what I've learned to an emergency situation. But for you probably, your stomach's probably churning, or, what do you feel like? What do you feel when, you hear code blue? Like, do you you don't get excited, do you?
No, I don't get excited. I have, a little bit of fear
yeah.
Of what's happening, what's going on, and what do I need to do to help this person.
Yeah,
so, and all these different things are going through my mind, and all how many people are going to be in the room.
Yeah.
That's another issue. I don't like to be around a lot of people.
Right.
And I don't want to be. And being at the head of the bed is, you're in the front. Everyone's watching you and wondering what you're gonna do. It's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and it's part of it. Like you have a fear of failure, or embarrassment. Like maybe you don't bag the right way or something like that, and then somebody calls you out, or is that not really it?
No. I don't know. It's just the social part of it.
Yeah. So, how do you cope? How have you coped all these years? You made it through school. You made it through, as a therapist, working for quite a while, and you got certain ways of coping, or you just put your head down and just grin and bear it, basically, or what do you like to do?
I mean, I'm just on edge all the time, basically.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Sometimes I get short of breath. Sometimes, I can't relax.
Yeah. Sure.
I have to take, deep breaths and just try to relax myself before getting into that moment.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
Yeah, I got
It's not
you.
easy.
Yeah. So we're just in the car. We're just heading over to Lowe's to get some cinder block, or what would you say, stones to put into the yard.
Some natural stones, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we just thought we'd do a quick little podcast and together with the love of my life here, and you know, maybe we'll do this again on another topic or something. We'll see. What do you think? What would you like to talk about? We could talk about what are some of your favorite topics to talk about? Food. You love food, right?
Traveling
is wonderful when you can do it, right? It's been kind of hard with this whole Corona thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're looking forward to this being over, as everybody is. Yeah, shopping, right?
Yeah.
Like shopping?
Yes.
Chocolate?
Yeah. Wine.
Yeah, wine. Hey, there you go. That's something that's probably gotten you through some stressful times, right? Every now and then, you know, you gotta have a little glass of wine.
Yes.
After a tough shift at the 12-hour shift at the hospital. Absolutely. Yeah. For me, you know, I deal with stress. Everybody has their way of dealing with it. I think Brazilian jiu-jitsu has really helped me deal with stress. It just, no matter how hard of a day I've had, I go to jiu-jitsu afterwards, and I just feel, when I'm walking out of there, I just feel like a totally different person. I feel so much better. I feel sore and it hurts and it's painful, you know. But it's just weird. Like, and when you're doing jiu-jitsu, like, you forget about all your problems. Like, you don't even think about what happened at work that day. Probably because somebody's trying to kill you, and you don't have time to think about that stuff. But yeah, that's how I kind of deal with my stress. Anyway, let us know if we put this on YouTube. You could let us maybe know how you deal with stress as a respiratory therapist, and or as a respiratory student. We'd love to find out. So, any final words, sweetie pie? No, you're good to go.
Okay.
All right, guys. Everybody, hopefully everybody's doing well out there, and we'll see you next time.